Welcome to Scrappin with Sheri and page 77 in our sketchbook. Now you're going to hear me say something today that I don't often say, but I think I'm going to take today's sketch and make it simpler than it is. I know that's shocking, but we'll see how it works out. I've laid out on my workspace some things that I want to use from various collections. These are all fishing related because my photos are fishing related. Something very different for me. I don't typically do fishing things. But for the 4th of July, we met at our choir director's home, and he has a pond behind his house. And so some of the men and a lot of the kids went fishing. Now, I won't be able to show you the full pictures because there are some children who are in the foster care program that are in the pictures. But once I get them cropped and onto the layout, I'll cover their faces, and I will show you how it ends up in the end. But I wanted to show you how to start this page using scraps. So in this layout, they've got a stencil across the top. This is really a school days thing with the back to school collection, an older collection. But I didn't want to use that stencil, and I kept trying to figure out what I was going to do to make this work. Well, for starters, I think mine is going to go this direction because I had this scrap of paper that has fishing and boats and fishing rods, and I'm going to use that to make this side border right here. So that kind of started the whole plan for this page. So I'm going to take my 12-inch trimmer, and it tells us that this border is 12 by 2. Now, let me check my piece of paper. Yeah, my piece of paper is just a little over 4 inches. It's about not quite 4.5. So I'm going to cut this down to 4. And then cut it into 2 because I am going to do a double spread on this. And by doing that, I have effectively used up that scrap of paper. And all I've got left is this little bitty strip. So I've got those 2 strips. And then there's another outside strip that's 2.5. Again, it's a 12 by 2.5. So what I pulled was a piece of cardstock that's very complimentary. It really picks up the colors of the green in those fish. And I just need to cut 2.5 inches of this. Now again, because it's a 2-page spread, I'm doubling all my cuts. So 2.5 on those 2. And then if you look at the sketch, that's all there is to it. All you've got to do is lay it out now. So let me move my trimmer. Let me move these extra embellishments and things because you know we'll add those on at the end. I was so excited to find some of these fishy things. I thought I had some, and then I was afraid I'd lost it or given it away. So basically what we have here is this border stripe. And I'm going to go ahead and use my tape and just stick those down. I know those are good to go. Now, if you wanted to make this a little fancier, it would have been really easy to use one of the decorative blades on the trimmer to cut this border that's behind there. That would have given you a little extra something, but not necessary. I told you I was going to try to keep it simple today, right? And I wouldn't have minded a border across the top, except this particular paper, the way it was already cut, it just lent itself to an up and down border. If I had done it across the top as a sideways border, all of my stuff would have been sideways, and that would have bothered me tremendously. Now, as far as up and down, the fish go lots of different directions. The boats go different directions. I'm not sure there is an up and down with this one. So let's pull my background papers. And for that, I just pulled something from the Totally Tonal Beige. I believe this is what this was from. And I picked it just because it's a nice light background. The colors coordinate well with the boats in here. And I was trying to keep it sort of neutral as far as the color scheme. I wanted to keep it outdoorsy looking. And I'll just pull one picture to show you where we've all got our backs. In this picture, all you see is everybody's back, so it's okay. But you can see it was almost getting dark. We've got the greens of the grass, the muddy look right here. And I just wanted to keep it really outdoorsy looking. So I'm going to go ahead and stick this on. Now, on the original sketch, they showed just a little bit of space between the edge and the border, and I do like that. So I'm going to leave a row of dots right over there. And I'm going to do the same on this side. And then as far as the sketch is concerned, I've done everything that was really shown on the sketch. Y'all see this bug flying around? All right, so the sketch is done. Let me just look one more time. What we've done is put this down the side. All I've got to do is decide my pictures, mat them, and put some embellishments on. So I'm going to do the pictures off camera for you, and then I'll come back and talk to you about that. So here we have the almost completed page. Remember, we're working off of this sketch. I turned it sideways, and I was able to do these photos on this page exactly the size it called for. They're 3x4 photos with 3 1/4 by 4 1/4 mats. This is a 4x4 photo with a 4 1/4 by 4 1/4 mat. And you'll see on the opposite page, my pictures were just larger, and I wanted to keep them because the kids did have on these cute little 4th of July shorts. And although I didn't really make this a 4th of July page, it will be a continuation of the 4th of July pages I've already done. So I was able to do my journaling here. I did it on white and then matted it in the green that we've got here. But then I used a little bit more scrap of this background here. Used some old sticker letters I had that said good times and put those on that piece of paper, and then matted it in navy to bring my navy back across there. I didn't want the greens running into each other. So now we need to add our few embellishments. And I did get a request from a lady named Linda who lives in Iowa. And she said, hey, I've got this 3-in-1 square thing, and I don't really know what to do with it. And I wasn't intending to use it on this page, but I think it might work. So I wanted to give a little shout out to Linda. Thanks for reaching out. And we'll see if we can show you an idea with this 3-in-1 square. So I'm pulling the 2 cardstock colors that I had used initially, the green and the blue. And I'm going to use this to help me make a grouping for my embellishments so they don't just fly out on my page all over the place. Now, when you punch this, it makes 3 different squares. And the best part to me about that is there's no waste. I love that. You could even use this and punch straight down a border and put stickers in here or letters to make a border straight down the side of your page, or you can use the frame pieces. But I'm going to cut a couple from each one. Now, unlike our other punches, this one doesn't fall out the bottom when you're done. You have to move it to the side and dump all those little pieces out. So we've got 2 blues, and I'm going to do 2 of the greens now. And again, I'm just using the cardstock that I used on my backgrounds here. And I'm going to do 2 of those. Don't ask me why I'm doing 2 of each. It just seems like a good number. And I've got a lot of space here that I kind of want to fill in. So this is the scallop square. This one is one you can do lots of different things with it. If you just do the number 1, it makes a big square. Number 2 makes 2 squares. And then number 3 makes 3 squares. And they're in different sizings, which I like. So let's play with it and see what we can come up with. Now, I like using things like this, and I'm going to put a blue over here, obviously, because I don't want my greens all over each other. You can use them kind of as interlocking squares, and you can even split a corner on one and make them truly interlocking, which I think is a neat look. You could use different sizings. Right now, I'm thinking I really like this size square. Let's see if we can get them all together. And we could do something like that right there. I'm going to try to put my seam where it's not going to be as obvious here. And I was thinking on using this sign, and I want to put Gone Fishing here. Now, I do still have all these little squares, and I could add them here and there. I'm not going to on this one, but I'll show you something in just a second. Let me do Gone Fishing. I'm just going to use my journaling pen to do that. And I know a lot of people don't like to do things like this. They don't like their handwriting. They, whatever. They get really nervous about doing any kind of journaling or handwriting things. I think that sometimes is what makes it look really fun, especially when there are kids involved. Channel that inner kindergartner and see if you can do some kindergarten writing. And then I add bubble letters. And I like them because that just helps me cover up any little mistakes I might have. And all I'm doing is adding little dots to any of the edges. And if one edge dips too far, I pull the dot in a little bit, make it a little bigger, whatever. I think it's just a fun look, particularly for pages with kids on them. But don't be afraid to try some lettering styles. Sometimes you just don't have the stickers to work for what you need. And I did have this sign, which I thought was really cute. So it works. All right. So what I'm going to do here is use my mat and my repositionable tape. And I'm just going to stick those squares together. And really, when you're sticking something like this where I've overlapped them together, there's no rhyme or reason. You just kind of get it stuck. I mean, that's what it boils down to. You can barely see where I've got a seam. So I don't think that's a big deal. And you know I'm going to cover it with something anyway. So I'm really not too concerned about where I tore those little pieces, like right there. I can manage to scooch it under there. But if you don't, that's okay too. I'm going to stick this here. I don't love the fact that it kind of fades into my background a little bit, but I am going to pull it up with some foam squares. And I think that will help a little. This is truly an embellishment, so I'm only going to put a couple on there. I don't have to go all up and down. I'm going to stick that there. And just to add some more color along the bottom, I could throw in a fish or two. I've got this nice big fishing rod. The problem is, there again, it's going to kind of lose itself on the page. I could slide it right over here. That's not too bad. And again, it's a full embellishment. So one giant foam square in the middle of that. And we'll call it done. Now I'm covering up the edge of the picture, which helps us to see the rod and reel better. I'm not really covering heads, so it's okay there. Let's see what I want to bring out. I only have one of these little green fish, but that one's a pretty good size fish. And I think I may put him right down there. A couple of foam squares just to keep him from flopping. And you see that these squares are helping to connect all of my embellishments, so they're not just flying off in space somewhere. I'm also kind of overlapping the pictures, which makes this all a grouping, and I do like the grouping of that. All right, let's see what else we need. I do like that this is it's more covered now. It was very bare. Do I want to add any more little squares? I don't think so. Well, I don't know. I'm sure y'all will give me opinions on that. I do think I like a little bit of color there. I'm just going to throw those down right there with my repositionable tape. And if I decide later I don't really love them, I can just slide them right back off. I do like the fact that that brings in some color there without being too much. And then I could throw this one right down here. So I'm really liking the look of this. I think I want to add a fish over on this side. We did the red one there. So let's pull our green one here. Maybe there. And since he's swimming on this way, we could put him there. And we can call this page a done. And grab foam squares again. And put a couple on the ends of this fish. I like the fact that this one is journaled. So that's done. This one will be ready to go straight into the album with some page protectors. I'm going to have him hanging down. All right. So that's our page. We did use the 3-in-1 square punch. Linda, that's not probably my best look for it, but I'll tell you, for a border, let's see, I've got a couple punched here. You can use this as a really pretty quick border down a strip of paper. I would cut about a 1.5 or 2 inch square. 1.5 or 2 inch strip. You could go back and add these in your middles. You could do them just like this and alternate colors. You could use 3 or 4 colors. But that would make a really quick, easy border and very minimal work. So I hope that helps you a little bit, Linda. Maybe not much, but it may give you some starting points to jumpstart your creativity. So y'all are going to laugh at me, but after looking at the way I had that laid out with the frames on this, I decided that it was too busy for me. So I had to go back and change it just a little bit. And instead of having the frames on there, like you saw initially, I went back and I swapped it and did full squares for these 3, and then used my little bitty ones that were left from the others. Made it a little more symmetrical, which I felt like went better with this look over here. And now I am very pleased with this page layout. So now here's page 77 in your sketchbook. Happy scrapping!